Hello everyone, today we're back with another video. Dressing room? I thought that said top.io. But seriously, I don't know how to explain what's what. Yeah, just so you know, Beatbox has had an update. Beatbox 4.0. That means I won't be able to. And I actually made my original number blocks band apes in, well, Beatbox 3.1, 3.1, 3.0.13. And that's really, and that's gonna be a and that this and guess what? Beatbox has an update. Beatbox 4.0. So the update is, well, it's adding an EQ filter. It now allows you to choose the layout instead of, giving me a full layout. There's still the light theme, alright. And has everything. And what about my beatbox songs? Uh, so they just let you listen it. So that's so there's actually been echo added to some of the instruments. That's the 7 1/4 sound. That's the second part of the 2 1/4, 7 1/4 sound. That's a part of the 6 1/4 sound. Yeah, I actually would have used the yeah, I actually made an I actually made an outro song. Yeah, that's the 6 1/4 sound I made. I just skip over. Anyway, this is my number blocks band 8 sound. This is a variation of the third of the sorry. Just so you know. So let me just go into a new blank song. There's also a reverb setting for some. There's also a setting for reverb. That's Distortion Synth 1. Distortion Synth 4. And those are the, and that's the overdrive and distortion guitar from 3.0 from 3.0.1. So here we have the overdrive and distortion. Wait, I think that's just distortion. Never mind. There's also an EQ so yeah, I was mentioning an EQ filter. There's a low pass and a high pass filter, and the peak is there's just so basically now we have an EQ filter. There's also a fade in and out. I have no idea what that does. Now this controls how long it takes for notes to reach full volume at the beginning or to decay to silence at the end. An instant fade in sounds like instruments are playing by hitting or plucking, blah blah blah. Slow fade is blah 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 blah. Fade out start before the note ends. Before the next note starts, or after the note ends. So now instead of so so there's actually so apparently so there appears to be a couple pitch shift, detune, vibrato, note filter, distortion, bit crusher, panning, chorus, echo, and finally reverb. Let me turn the reverb down to 0, panning, bit crusher, I'll just turn the bit crush down. Distortion. Note filter. That's basically the EQ filter, but yeah. For notes. Distortion, bit crash, frequency crash, blah 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 blah. Vibrato, no vibrato, detune, no echo, pitch shift, up. The detune and pitch shift are basically the same thing. Oh, the detune, and so the pitch shift is basically half steps, and the detunes are smaller, are very fine increases. This is too much for may I just have a regular? I just want a regular, you know. I just want a twang 3, a flare 1, or like, that's a sci-fi sound. So yeah, now beatbox is weird. And from now I'm gonna use jump box. Also, it's the minor changes. So there's so now some of the instruments have a, have a have some reverb. Can we go back to 3.0.13? I hate this. Also in channel settings, different simultaneous instruments per channel. Available patterns per channel, 8. Bass channels, drum channels, simultaneous instruments per channel. Different instruments per pattern. I didn't know you could have. It's apparently picked string setting. I like how instead of just a steady thing, there's for some reason instead of steady and hard, there's stuff like normal, interrupt, continue, slide and pattern. So there's normal, which is basically the steady. Interrupt is hard. Continue, I think, is... Also, something else controlling the transition is pretty much the... Is also the thing. So yeah, I can set it to like that. I use this brass sim too. Sim. And filter frequencies. And filter 1's frequency, FM3 volume, FM4 volume, FM3 bad. I still have no idea how this works. And another major change is actually if I look into this, so that's the distortion instance 1. That says PWM overdrive. That's distortion instance 1 still. Now look at PWM distortion. That's distortion instance 4. And this is the overdrive and distortion. And that's the overdrive and distortion guitars. The harp didn't get changed. Let me just go through all of the instruments, so. I already checked through the grand piano. Also, let me just show you the harpsichord, or the harpsichord. Yeah, it's a little different. This is a glockenspiel. That's the same. That's the same again. So unless you're making a different sound slash don't like the reverb or don't or, slash find all of this stuff confusing and or don't know how to work with this, you know, it's hard for you to know how to work with this. And I mean, I like FM experts a lot better when I don't have all the settings to deal with. Something I thought of was like having 2 options for FM experts. Like for harmonics, you could either have one big control that controls everything. That's the same. That's the same too. There's an EQ filter. I don't mind using. There's a fade in and out. There's a fade in and out, but I just find that kind of confusing. Like, apparently the operator volume has a really short thing. So I was just wondering for a second. I wondered where the four frequencies were. I noticed them at the top in that case. Apparently the feedback is at 0. Effects. Yeah, it's all of that. A note filter. Note filters are mostly the same thing as the EQ filters. So the EQ filters are for basic adjustments, whereas note filters can be moved dynamically with envelopes. The EQ filter is basically where it's basically, if you don't know what an EQ filter is, the EQ filter is just let me just read the description for that. I mean, I already know. Filters are waves that emphasize or diminishing different parts of the sound. Musical notes have fundamental bass frequency. Musical notes have a fundamental frequency. That's basically the note that you hear. That's basically the note that the main note that you hear. The sound, but that's a frequency. But the sound of a musical note also has parts at higher frequency, and filters that can adjust the volume of each of these parts based on the frequency. Basically, let me. If you don't know what that means, I don't blame you. It's kind of confusing. Kind of fuse. What? Like, did I just say? Kind of confusing. Like, filters are a way of emphasizing or diminishing. So filters are a way of emphasizing or diminishing parts of a sound. Musical notes have a main frequency, but the sound of a musical note also has frequencies at higher sine waves. A sine wave is basically a plane tone, and the main note you hear is the plane sine wave. There's also higher frequencies. Those are the higher sine waves. And let me just turn off this music for a second. So so basically every note has a higher has one frequency base, which is frequency that makes which is really the main frequency, and then the other frequencies are, well, sorry, other frequencies are the frequencies in which are controlled by. They are the frequencies in which aren't as apparent, but it makes the musical notes sound different from another type of musical note, like a kalimba from a piano, for example. I was wondering what happened, why I'm not able to use, like, cannot use a frequency. I was wondering why. I was wondering why. Why I couldn't use some. I was being so. I was wondering. I was actually wondering why I couldn't, you know, do something with the EQ filter. Click in the filter editor to insert, delete, or drag a filter control point. The horizontal position of the points determines which frequency it affects, and the vertical position determines how the volume is affected at that frequency. So they mess around with the that's the fade in and out thing. Alright, let me just 1 second, let's just zoom in. Control plus 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 plus. Great. Let me zoom in, Orn. Okay, was it Alt plus? Nope. Control plus. Yeah, it is Control plus, but like hold Control plus and minus. Oh, great, nothing happens. That's just great. It's an EQ filter. Oh, so that's the control point. By the way, this guy called Supersonic Mikhail. What? AUTTP. Made a video like, the beatbox has an update. And yeah. Let's zoom it out. So now there's a new point I can control and do whatever I want with, basically. They get rid of all these control points. Okay, stop. Orn. Insert a new point on the left side of the filter editor to add a high pass filter point, which additionally reduces the volume of lower frequencies. Insert a new point on the right side to add a low pass, blah 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 blah. Okay. High pass. Ah. Peak. I'm setting the peak down lower and higher. Let me get rid of this peak. Okay. Low pass. Let me get rid of the... Stop. Yeah, I can just click on them. To just... Alright. You can also enable note filter as... Note filters also change how the distortion effect sounds. Nope. They go into... Note filters are... Yeah, blah 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 blah. No filters can basically... EQ filters are for basic adjustments, whereas no filters can be moved diagonally with envelopes. No filters can also change how the distortion effect sounds. Blah 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 filters, blah 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 blah. Insert a new point, blah 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 blah. the feedback, modulate distort in one direction, 1, 2, using the feedback to distort back, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 by 2, 2, 1. Modulate this distort in one direction, like 2, 1. But you can also make feedback setting to make anyways distort in opposite direction, 1, 2, or even itself, 1, 1, 2, 1 loop. Feedback distortion. The settings controls the amount of feedback distortion based on feedback type setting. That sounds like weirdly like a bright piano. They put that away. Effects, blah 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 blah. You might think that what I've described here is not that different. I've also added in with the change, not change song, like channel settings, simultaneous instruments per channel, different instruments per pattern. I've added more instruments basically. Change song length, channel settings, change speeds for bar, blah. So. So like just so there's nothing else in there's apparently edit snap notes to scale. Skate like if how do I turn that off? I don't know. Is the snap notes to scale why does that not work? There's a tempo slider, blah blah blah. I know all of that. Okay. Snap notes to river no. For some reason it doesn't work. Nope. So the only other major difference is that the Distortion Synth 2 is gone. And Distortion Synth 1 and 4 are renamed to PWM Overdrive and Distortion. And the overdrive guitar and distortion guitar are now FM overdrive and FM distortion, just with a low reverb. Also, the overdrive guitar 2, as I'll call it. Wait, hold on. What? No. That's not how distortion works. No. That is not how distortion works. That is not how distortion works. That is actually not how distortion works. You cannot just... It doesn't do... how distortion works. It's as simple as that. Why am I listening to myself? I have no idea what. Why have you done, beatbox ords? I hate beatbox 4.0. This is a banjo, but with distortion. Okay. Envelopes. Busted. In Jumpbox or Beatbox 3.0.13 envelope. This thing can dynamically change the FM waveform over time. So for the envelope, this thing can dynamically change the filter cutoff frequency over time. Try the different options to see how they sound. The custom option uses the note volume editors to run in the pattern editor as a cutoff volume below. So this one envelopes are like blah 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 blah. Dynamically adjust various settings over time. Based on how long note class. Press the plus button to add an envelope. There's my blah 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 blah. Small curve. Temporal upload. Try to combinations to see how they sound. Finally, plus envelope and restart from beginning. Every time to play. Blah 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 blah. Envelope curve moving the range from 0 to 1. Blah 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 blah. So for some reason and when it shows none, that's basically the steady envelope in Beatbox 4.0, and the note size I'm guessing is the custom. The distortion guitar too. It's just the overdrive guitar. With more distortion and reverb. You know what? Expert. Turn the volume off. Turn the volume down to 0. Blah 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 blah. Die die die. 4 notes. I forgot that. How do I change it back? Okay, like just turn on the volume like down to 10%. A big glass 4.0 great. What?
Jacob, you can't be there and here. Come take care of this.
Apparently, it also you can sit so that way you can nest. Okay, this is great. This is really, for now I'm gonna use jump box. Beatbox 4.0 is basically the 3.013 jump. Is basically the jump box 2.5 of beatbox. So it's basically the jump box 2.5 of beatbox 3.013 or 3.0.13. I hate it. Jump box. Do not update it, please. Do not update it to be like this. Please, I don't want. It's a good thing Jumpbox isn't gonna update for a long time. Also, for some reason, when I look at Beatbox, it's for the store. When I set Distortion Synth 2, it says PWM Distortion because I guess it's the second Distortion Synth. Also, they got rid of Distortion Synth 3. And replaced it with these dumb orn sounds. By the way, another thing I'm doing is making number blocks band 16ths too. Here's the first sound. Like this. Well, I'll just show you them as. I really hope Jumpbox doesn't get updated with Beatbox like this. I'll order them. So yeah, beatbox has been updated, and I just hate it. It's a good thing I have Jumbox instead of confusing stuff like EQ waves and ORN waves. Instead, there's also a pick string presets. Also, for the noise, there's actually in 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 Jumbox. There's a couple more settings. In normal beatbox, you have retro, white, clang, bus, and hollow. So yeah, there's pick string. So let me see the drum presets. There's those three types. Yeah. They're still the same presets. All right. EQ filter, shift noise, effects, distortion. Um, what does that mean? Chords, simultaneous. Uh, what is that? Harmony. And there's drum arpeggio. At least they didn't accidentally put in. I added full distortion, pitch shift. Finally, there's a detune slider. At least. I just turn on everything. You know what? Blah 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 blah. I've always wondered what happens if I had. I wonder what it sounds like if I. That. It only goes up to 45 cents. The extra parts are like a waste. Good job, Orn. Bit off, off, off. Note filter. Imagine if I turned off the note filter. Like not even, I just set it to like everything was off. None. Not just detune vibrato range. Note volume. Playing. Oh, apparently I can just set it to like your worker burned the ring side of red. Your arm. How do you even set vibrato to twang 3? Beatbox 4 is dumb. Up and down and up and down and up and up C's and down C's and oranges and ups. Why am I such a noob? Okay, great. Let's see. They're not a literal diamond. I can really mess around with I can really mess around with this. I have no idea how I set it like that. I'm pretty sure yes. Oh, apparently I can right click. I have more than 4, please. I just said like. I was just talking. By the way, Logan Ribbon. I'm just talking to my viewers about how beatbox is just confusing. And anyway, bye.